Hi, my name is David Rodriguez, and I come from Florida, but I moved to Hawaii 3 years ago, and I've been here since. And now I work as a shark photographer for Hawaii Adventure Diving.
What's your first memory of the ocean?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think it was probably learning how to swim. My grandfather was an admiral in the Mexican Navy, and so he really instilled for me the love of the ocean, and he's the one who taught me how to swim. And so he literally tied like a little pumpkin, like empty pumpkin around me and just threw me in the ocean so I could start like paddling for my life. And yeah, slowly but surely I learned how to swim. He eventually removed it and I just started swimming, and those were my first memories of the ocean.
Do you have any memory of your first connection with the ocean? Like, I imagine that it's a part of your life now that probably won't change for the foreseeable future. Do you have any moments where you're like, oh yeah, this is the thing?
For sure. I'm very lucky that I have a lot of moments where I just feel deeply connected to the ocean and super grateful for it, and just validation that that's where I'm supposed to be. For example, probably one of my first memories here in Hawaii was just going shark diving for the first time. I still didn't know how to free dive. I wore those really short fins and had the GoPro and was just flailing all over the place, and yet it was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. Just seeing sharks in the water. Also, I remember being really nervous, like most people, going in being like, am I really doing this? And so finally, yeah, I just got in and it was so beautiful and peaceful, and I loved it ever since.
And as a shark dive photographer, how has your idea of sharks evolved over time?
Totally. I think it's been fascinating how my perception of sharks has changed from my very first dive to just going more as a customer and then obviously just working the boats themselves. It's definitely quite the evolution. Again, when you first get in with the sharks, it's kind of counterintuitive how like your body is just like, this is a dumb idea, right? Why am I doing this? I'm putting yourself in danger, right? Um, when in reality, like these sharks are just not that interested in you. They know you're just way bigger than like what they eat, and yeah, as long as you're there and calm and peaceful and standing your ground, like they generally are pretty relaxed and will swim right by you, and it's really wonderful. So even from the first dive there, like that was a huge perception change. As I'm getting more into it and just falling in love with like reading the shark's body language, I feel like I'm just picking up slowly but surely so many more incredible things about sharks and how they perceive the world, what they're telling us with their body language. Yeah, the different personalities that they have of different species, like Galapagos versus tiger sharks, especially some of our recurring tiger sharks. It's just really awesome to just see their personalities, and each one has a distinct one, which has been really awesome to see.
What's something that you've learned about yourself from spending time in the water that you don't think you would have learned any other way?
Yeah, I think the ocean has taught me so many different lessons. I came to Hawaii and I always loved the ocean, and yet I just don't feel like I connected with it as much as I do now. And it's just been a process of many different scenarios. I also surf. I think surfing is a wonderful thing to do out here on the North Shore of Hawaii. And the waves will just like pummel you and drag you down and all over the place. Teaches you a lot of patience, how to pick the right wave, and then also just like go for it, you know? And like more often than not, like if you just really believe in yourself, you'll actually do better than what you think you can. So that's even outside of diving. I think diving is a whole different, I don't know, complement to that, where it tends to be a little more peaceful and beautiful and elegant. I don't know, I just really feel like the calmness and stillness of the ocean during those moments. And more than anything, the connection to all the life around us, and that there's just something bigger than us.
How has the ocean changed you, or have you like changed any behaviors because of the ocean, your experience? Like, I've definitely curbed the way that I consume fish, or that I just live life on the land, knowing that, you know, my behaviors will eventually make their way into the sea. Like, has there been anything in your life that comes to mind that, like, you've kind of changed your habits around because you
100%.
want to protect the ocean?
Yeah, just learning about our ocean's ecosystem has taught me how much humans have affected it, basically, from all the products that we develop. And so one of the big ones is we produce a lot of plastics, and those end up in the ocean. And now that I'm in the ocean every day, basically, I see plastics just floating around, which is crazy. I do think Hawaii is one of the most pristine locations in the world, and yet you still commonly see garbage all over the place, which is really saddening. And yeah, with that, I also have changed, I don't know, the way I look at products now. Like, do they have shark products, right? Like squalene is a very common one in cosmetics. And so it's something that a lot of people don't really think about, but it's a reason why a lot of sharks are being killed, you know? And then, yeah, just in general, like trying to reduce my waste. So even composting a little bit, I think that has really helped. I do what I can. It's a big problem, but I think raising awareness is the most important thing.
Is there anybody out there that has influenced you in terms of like your desire to get in the ocean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the question right now, it's a little hard for me because there's just so many people that have really inspired me. Again, my grandfather was my initial father hero figure, honestly, like a man of the sea, you know, like very comfortable and like, yeah, just lots of time in the water and inspired me to get in the water. And then from then, it's just been a variety of different teachers from like the various different shark divers that we have, right? Like Taylor Cunningham is a really great one. Like the main people on my boat, like Nick Lowenstein and like Samantha Fagliani. Like these are all amazing shark divers that I've slowly but surely am learning from, and I'm super grateful for that. And then there's other disciplines like free diving, like my instructor Josh Munoz, right? Like I always look to him for anything related to free diving or spearfishing, right? And not to mention all the great photographers that we have on this island. There's just so much to learn from each and every single one of them, each with a really interesting and unique style. Cal Sullins is, for example, one of my favorite photographers here. Very vivid pictures, like really removes the aquas and the blues, and in a way like I've mimicked that style as well. And yeah, there's a lot more. Again, I could go on for like days about like all the different people I'm looking towards, but each and every single one just like affects me in a different way.
Have you ever had any close calls in the ocean?
Yes, I think honestly it's been more in the beginning stages. Again, just even like surfing, where I just wasn't even that confident, and I was still like in the process of learning how to free dive. Just I didn't quite assess the ocean correctly, and I pushed myself and put myself in a situation where I just wasn't ready. And I think that's part of the learning process. Be humble about your abilities and try to get out there, but also just be safe as best as you can. Yeah, the surfing has taught me a lot of that. In free diving, I always dive with a buddy, as everybody should. I haven't had any super close calls there yet. And in the shark boat as well, like we have a fantastic team of safety divers, so I wouldn't say I've been in any close situations myself yet, and yet I'm about to start my shark safety training, and tiger season's coming up, so we'll see what awaits for me there, but I'm really excited.
What's been, and it doesn't have to be like your all-time greatest, but like what's the standout? What's the first thing that comes to your mind as like your most epic ocean experience?
Yeah, it's funny, I've just been kind of thinking about that lately, of all the great experiences I've had. I don't know. I think they're all different because I love different animals for different qualities. I'm just gonna go like top three really quick. Like, in French Polynesia, swimming with a baby whale that was super curious and just got super close to every one of us, so we were all constantly like swimming away, which was really fun and terrifying, but it was awesome. Definitely a day to remember. I went to Baja recently and also had some incredible experiences with the orcas there. Yeah, sometimes they're just like moving, but sometimes they're just like really relaxed and will just come up right to your boat, and it's really peaceful. They really are looking for that interaction, it seems like. So yeah, I was very grateful for that, because sometimes you just don't get that. One, you don't even get orcas, but two, that they're also want to hang out and like play with your boat. It's like insane. And then yeah, maybe another one is just one of the tiger days I've had where we had like 3 different tigers, and it was just me and a bunch of other safety divers, and it was the first time I feel like I got a lot of tigers at the same time that were extremely interactive, and that was really fun to be in.
Do you have any dream locations or any places that you really want to go, like an experience that you haven't had yet with the ocean that you're just like frothing to go check out?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I have a lot of trips already planned because I'm just constantly booking trips. So one location I haven't been to that I am planning on going to in November is Magdalena Bay in Baja California, Mexico. At that time, you have the sardine run happening. And so because you have so many sardines, you have all the predators chasing, which is incredible. So you typically get a lot of swordfish, a lot of seals, and mahi as well. This past season, it was like an insane amount of mahi that it scared the swordfish away, which is just crazy to see. So we'll see what actually happens this season, whether the swordfish are back or maybe it's a different predator that like kind of takes over this time. But so many wonderful possibilities there. You can still see orcas, you can still see a lot of whales feeding on bait balls. It can be insane. So I'm really looking forward to that, and that's like the next trip that I have planned, which I haven't been to. So,
do you have a favorite shot that you've captured where that like pops in your head where you're like, oh, that's my favorite one. I love that more than anything?
Yeah, that's also a very hard one. I think, because yeah, I shoot both photos and videos, so I think I have different for both. Honestly, for photos, maybe it could be one of my very first ones that I took with my Sony a7 IV when I had just gotten it. And it was definitely a moment of like, hey, I just spent 10,000 grand plus on the setup. Am I crazy? Am I just wasting my money right now? And luckily, I just have so many supportive friends that are willing to go out with me and take some shots for fun. And I remember taking the shot at Sharks Cove. It's this little like pinnacle that comes out. It looks like Pride Rock and Lion King, but like I have a diver who's coming in, and she is touching down with one fin and then like very nicely like arms to the side. It's very peaceful and serene. So that was one of my very first shots, and it gave me a lot of validation because I think of it a lot. It's beautiful, and I feel like it really shows my style. So definitely one of my shots I think about a lot. And for videos, again, there's just so many awesome experiences. I don't know if I can just pick one. Maybe one where I have a bunch of whales coming in, and then pilot whales also interacting, kind of like a rare scenario where you get a lot of interspecies mingling. But also one of the few videos that I feel like a lot of people have seen and have really appreciated, so I love it.
Before I shot underwater, I would always shoot like on land.
Yeah.
I had ideas about shooting underwater, but ever since I've started shooting underwater, like I don't really care about dry land that much.
Yeah.
So, and there's like all sorts of different reasons for that, but like what is it about the underwater photography that kind of like draws you in and keeps you interested and just has you going out there like as often as you possibly can, even though the photos are all kind of like, you know, like sometimes I feel like I'm taking the same photo and over again, but like What is it about like taking these underwater shots that inspires you?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I just want to be in the water. Like, um, my love for photography kind of just stemmed from the fact that I was already spending so much time in there without any kind of camera, and I just was fascinated looking at everything, right? So I think the next natural progression was to get a camera and try to capture everything how I see it, basically. And sometimes I'm taking these videos and these photos, and I'm like, that's still not quite right, or like, that moment was perfect in my mind, but this is not what it is in the photo. So sometimes I even just go back and I don't mind taking the same shot over and over again, you know, refine it a little bit. It's kind of fun to all see my evolution and progression through it. So yeah, and honestly, I feel like every encounter is different, you know, like the combination of people who are there, the animals, you know, like the conditions, right? Like everything is unique and beautiful in its own way. So yeah, I'm never tired of it.
I totally understand. Because I've been getting asked by people who are not shooting in the water yet, but want to. And I'm curious, like, so, you know, I tell them my story of like, hey, here's what I did. If I could do it again, I would have skipped all this bullshit in the beginning and I would have just gotten the thing that I needed to get in the beginning, even though it seemed like it was a crazy amount of money and I wasn't sure. If I could go back in time, I would have done that.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, did you have any kind of like evolution into like where you're at now, and would you do it the same way?
For sure, it's a thing I think about a lot. So as most people, I just started out with a GoPro in the water, and honestly, the GoPros, especially these days, they do pretty well. I actually just had to get my camera serviced by sending it into Nauticam just so they could replace all the little parts like O-rings and like levers. And so I just got a GoPro Hero 12 and started shooting on that again. And it's funny because the video is actually really solid. I'm actually quite pleased with it. So I think part of it is just knowing how to shoot and learning how to shoot. So like, and two, I also know how to edit, and I think that's made a huge difference. So yeah, I think the progression from GoPro to professional camera is still like really good and solid, and I would recommend anyone to do that before they spend all that money, because the GoPros can do pretty well for a while. I will say going up to professional camera, yeah, like you will, it's a struggle once you first get it, because to really get the usage out of it, you do need to edit. You need to shoot raw, you need to shoot log. And honestly, it was so frustrating for like the first, honestly, 6 months. My stuff was looking worse than the GoPro, and my colors were all super fucking weird. I'm just like, what is happening? Like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I terrible? Like, but slowly but surely, I got the hang of it. I think it gave me a lot of confidence to know that this is just a good setup and that I just need to keep trying and refining things, and the capability is there, basically. So that was nice, just to have the setup and just go for it. And I did see the progression, and that was really encouraging. I first started with photos and then eventually moved to videos. And yeah, each one has its own tricks. Regarding like professional camera equipment, I love more videos now, so I wish I would have gone GoPro to Sony a7S III and then maybe A1 way later in the future. I have an A7 IV because I just didn't know whether I wanted to do more photos or videos, and that's a good hybrid. So yeah, that's what I currently have, and yet like I'm extremely lucky to have it because it's a fantastic camera. And yeah, I don't know, right now, at the end of the day, it's not my equipment that's limiting me. It's more my ability to like capture the moment.
All right, if you had a magic wand, you could wave it, and it would change one behavior for everybody.
Yeah.
That would improve the ocean. I feel like if there's like one thing people can do, well, then they can do that one thing. And maybe that will open the door to like, oh, well, that one thing wasn't that hard. Maybe I could do this other thing too.
Right.
So like, what would be the one thing that you would pick if you just could wave a magic wand and have everybody do this one, change this one behavior?
I think the one action that everybody could just do is, again, just take a hard look at everything you buy and just really ask yourself, like, do we really need this? I think in general, we buy a lot of things, and this consumerism has just like led to a lot of like unsustainable growth for the whole planet. And at the end of the day, like that just leads to more climate change, right? And more greenhouse gases. So if we could somehow curb our impact to the environment, I think that would have the biggest benefit to our oceans and our world in general. So I think it's very hard, but I do believe in it, and also a reason why I'm still out there trying to inspire people and teach people about sharks and get them excited about the ocean, trying to make a little bit of a difference.